What's up, y'all? It is Wednesday, January 15th, and guess what? Today is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. We will celebrate that on Monday, and we'll talk about that later. Anyhow, let's get on to it. So, never back down, never what? Never give up. So hopefully you got everything ready. Just remember the chargers, you got to be ready because we're going to be using our Chromebook all throughout the next week or two. So we talked about this earlier this week, but I just want to make sure that we're good, that, hey, we're at the 6-week progress report. So the 6-week progress report will be out at some point during this week. Your teachers are going to turn in those grades. The grading thing has already opened for teachers to turn in, so some teachers might have already turned it in. I did probably 90%. I probably have, this is about the in paper, and then I think I did all the ones that were online. I did all the online ones, and I was not able to get to the Space Dog yet, so I'll get to the Space Dog math soon. Okay, so I did update some grades inside of Aries as far as like whole assignments, but then all the late assignments are already updated in Aries and in Canvas, at least for the ones that were turned in complete. Yeah, some of y'all still need to turn in some work, so handle your business. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so on to this journal check number 9. That is on Wednesday. I just want to make sure that you are aware of that. And I think we've taken our last notes for this week. We are going to have a couple more entry activities, but we've taken our last notes for this week. So we're just going to actually look at those notes right now. Let's get to it. These are the notes we took yesterday. Just as the biggest thing is, you guys already know there's an x-axis and it runs like this, right? So left to right, and then the y-axis runs up and down, which is vertical. Now, here's the thing. Remember, on the x-axis, that is going to be your independent variable. Again, that's the thing that we can manipulate, or that we can choose what's going to happen. And then on your y-axis, that's going to be the dependent variable. That's the thing we're going to measure. That's the unknown part of the experiment. That's the responding variable. So if you can get those two things in your brain, you guys will be totally cool. And you have notes to like kind of back that up. And you got yourself a nice little drawing. If you don't, pause the screen and get all this written in the journal on a brand new page. We did that yesterday, but in case you didn't, here we are. All right, so we talked about this yesterday on the video, so we're not going to really go over this one. We're going to go to the next one, right? So again, pause yourself, okay? Pause the screen and then look over this whole graph. Again, pause the screen, look over this whole graph, read everything, see if you can draw some conclusions, and then I'm going to ask some questions. Did you pause the screen? All right, let's get on to these questions. If not, you still have an opportunity to do this now. So in general, what is this about? This is a study about snacks and general happiness, right? So how do snacks affect general happiness? You guys see that from the title right there. And then over here, what do these numbers represent? These numbers represent the 0, the 25, the 50, the 75, and the 100. They represent the number of smiles per day. So number of smiles per day. And then this is the number of snacks, the number of snacks consumed per day. So how many did you eat, right? So here we go. So we're going to keep going right here. Is if one snack is eaten or consumed in a day, then the number of smiles is maybe around, it looks like around like 5-ish, right? If there's 2 snacks consumed in that day, then it looks like it goes up to maybe about 7. 3 snacks, then it looks like it's about, I don't know, it's about 12. That's somewhere in the middle. 4 snacks, you get about 25 smiles. Remember, this is per day, for the whole day. So if you give out 4 snacks, then you get 25 smiles, right? If you give out 5 snacks, then you almost get about just under 50, so maybe around 48, 47 smiles per day. And look, if you give out 6 snacks in the day, if there's 6 snacks eaten that day, then it seems like the smiles you get is around 97, 96. So according to this data, the more snacks that are given out, right, then the more smiles you get per day. And if we just had a trend line, or like an average slope of all these, it probably would be something like this, and would just go across like right there. That's probably somewhere around what it would be. That's probable, right? Because remember, a trend line, right, is going to be the average. So this slope, this slope, this slope, slope from here to here, slope from this point to that point, and then the slope from that point to that point, and then you average all those slopes together, and then you draw yourself a trend line. So the trend line is going to be somewhere in between all of the slopes. So let's go to this last one and just take a look. This one's much more linear. So if you guys take a look at this one for a second, and then we'll get into it. Okay. So hopefully you've taken your moment. Hopefully you're in there. Hopefully you know what's going on. So this one is about typing speed, and it's about words per minute. So that's what these numbers represent, and these numbers on the bottom are actually weeks. So this is time on the bottom, but it's weeks, right? So, and this is why it's important to label things, because this could be time, because it could be hours, it could be months, it could be days, but again, we're here with weeks. So if you wanted, and this is where we can get into the graph, let's just say you're teaching and you're trying to get all your students to at least be able to type 60 words per minute. 60 words per minute is what you want them to type. How many weeks of practice do they need? If you want all of your students to get to 60 words per minute, just based on the data you see presented here. So hopefully you said somewhere, the minimum seems like, the threshold seems like at least 5 weeks on average. But if you look here at 6 weeks, there's people still below. And even at 9 weeks, there's people still below, right? Some, right, still, or right on the 60. So where would you go? So hopefully you said somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. It seems like between 6 to 8 weeks. If you look at this trend line says, at 7 weeks, they should be around 70, and at 8 weeks, they should be around 80, and at 6 weeks, that's when they should be above 60. But you know that there's going to be some people still below, because that's the average. So you got to do a little bit more. So somewhere around 6 to 8 weeks, if I was teaching a class, I would be like, oh, I think we need 8 weeks. 8 weeks, we could probably get everyone up to 60, right? So that's kind of how you would use this information if you were a teacher and you were designing the class, right? So that's kind of how that would work. So see how this, like interpreting data and then being able to interpret a graph, you can apply this to all kinds of different areas, right? Okay, let's keep it pushing. So now it is Bob the Builder. Yes, we can. Bob the Builder. So now it's time to build. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a graph. So we're going to build a data table and a graph right now. So let's just get right into it. So I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to get a new tab. I'm going to move this tab on over here. And then right here inside this waffle, I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And what I want to do is go to Google Sheets. Again, you want to go to Google Sheets. And again, I just open up this waffle right here and go to Google Sheets. Boom, I got me a new Google Sheet. Okay, cool. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go blank sheet. So I'm just going to get a blank sheet, nothing on it, just brand new blank sheet, no big deal. Okay, so I'm going to be toggling back and forth between these two screens. So the graphing how-to, that is what we're going to name it. So up here where it says untitled sheet, you'll just click there, and then you'll just label it graphing. So, and at the beginning, you want to put your name. So I'm going to put Mr. Farr, graphing, how to. Okay, cool. There we go. So put your first and last name, and then put the how to. Now we've got it relabeled. Now, down here where it says sheet number 1, it says rename sheet number 1 as paper airplane. So we're just going to double click that and say paper airplanes. And that is sheet number 1. Now, before we get into, let me see. I think I might have to move it because of where my little recording thing is at. Can I move that out the way? Hold on. All right. So I had to move that thing just a little bit. So if you look down here, there's a plus, and you can add a sheet. So I'm going to click plus, and I just added a sheet, right? And that second sheet, we're going to rename it as ice cream, okay? Boom. So we're going to say ice cream. All right, cool. So that second sheet is ice cream. And you got to think of these sheets, okay? Think of them like like a packet. So like here's one sheet, and this sheet is the paper airplanes, and then I added another sheet, and this sheet is called ice cream. Now I can keep adding sheets as I need to, so I can add another sheet, and and it can go by a different name, boom, and I can just keep adding sheets as I need to. So think of sheets kind of like as that idea. We're just keep adding sheets of paper, okay, to it. So we want to make sure that we're clicked on paper airplanes, and you can see it's highlighted right there. We see how it's highlighted in blue right there. All right, cool. And then we're going to create on the first sheet, rename it paper airplanes, and then we're going to recreate this. So in the top, so we call and in the top cell, we're going to call that one A1. So if you look at the location A1, and that's how you can kind of see the location. So we're going to type mass, and then we're going to put the parentheses, and then we're going to put that right in there, just like that. And we put the G, what's that G stand for? Hopefully you'll know, like, oh, that's the mass in grams. So then we're going to go down and just put all of the numbers in. So 5, and that 5 goes into A2. Now we're in A3. I just press 6, and I'm just pressing down. And then 7, and then down. And then 8, and then I'm just pressing down to enter all these in. 9, 10, and 11. Nothing too crazy. Now I'm going to click in B1. And right there, I'm going to type exactly what you see right here. Flight times, and it looks like in that parentheses, like it's flight time, and it's in seconds. So I'm gonna put flight time, and then I'm gonna put in there S. That way we have the units, and now I'm just gonna put in the numbers just like I saw before. So I just press down, and then 4.1. Now I'm in B2, so now I'm going down to B3, and that's 5.2. Okay, cool. And then B4 is 6, and then 7, down, and then 8, and then 8, and then B8 is 7. Cool. So hopefully we're all good there. No biggie, okay? Cool. Okay, now we're going to do some selecting, because we need to select or highlight this whole section. So there's two ways to do this. You can left click on your mouse. So you can left click on your mouse or the left side of your trackpad, okay? On the left side of your trackpad, you can left click, and then you could just left click and hold, and then drag that to select it like that way. That way is totally cool. The other way that you can do this here, and I think I can show my keyboard because I have this yellow keyboard right here. The other way that you can do this is if you click in A1, and then I believe if you hold down Shift, and then click right down here in B8, it'll highlight all of them. So again, let me see. Let me make sure. Hold down Shift. So again, just watch this. I'm going to click in A1, hold down Shift, right? I'm just going to hold that down. Can you guys see? Can you guys see how I feel? Oh, yeah, you can. There we go. So again, I'm just holding down. Oh, wait. It's like this. Sorry, y'all. Hold down Shift right there. And then I'm just going to click, and I'm just using the mouse to click, or you use your trackpad to click into B8. If your trackpad is finicky, it's probably going to be easier to do it that way, okay? I'm just giving you two options. Either one will work, but again, that second one, we're holding down Shift and then clicking. So again, you just have to be clicked into like the first cell, and then you just hold down Shift, and then you click into the next cell where you want to highlight all of them. Okay. Now that they are all highlighted, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger right here. Actually, I guess we really didn't need to do that. But I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I think it would be better if I do that. That way I can see all the tools up top, because this is probably the way your guys' screen looks. So we will do that. So right here, this thing that looks like a window, right? It's called borders, and we want to go ahead and click that. So we're going to put all the borders on. Bam. So now we're sort of looking like a data table. So we're doing pretty good. And since I have everything still selected and all borders. Now there's different borders that you can put, but this time we want to put all the borders on there. Now it's starting to look like a data table. Then we're going to go ahead and center the information. So go ahead and say center align. Boom. Now it's going to snap everything together. So now we're doing pretty good. The last thing that we are going to do, right, is I'm just going to click into A1, I'm going to hold down Shift, and then I'm going to click into B1. That highlights both of them. I'm going to bold these. Okay, so I'm going to bold them. Now, you can change the font size. I usually like the font size of the title to be larger than the font size of the text that is inside of the data table. That way it's an easy distinguisher. So I'm just going to go up to 12, 13, and then 14. Oh my goodness. So now what are we going to do? We got some problems here. We got some straight problems because everything kind of went over itself. I want to show you this. If you move your cursor right over the center, see how it gets double arrowed, right? So if you click there and hold it, now you can see that line drops down, and then you just want to slide it over to have more room, right? But for mass, it seems like we have enough room, but for flight times, it looks like we don't. So again, we're going to click right here, boom, and then you see that line drops down. That's letting you know that you have a hold of that, and now you're just going to move it over to adjust it. It looks like we need to adjust it just a little bit more. Okay, cool. And now we are good to go with building that data table. All right, let's look back at the instructions so we can make sure we know what we're supposed to do. What's the next thing we're supposed to do? Then it says format into a data table, which we did that. Ours looks pretty similar to theirs, right? And then it says create a scatter chart with a trend line, okay? Okay, so how are we going to create that scatter chart? What we're going to need to do, okay? What we're going to need to do is we need to highlight the entire data table. So we're going to highlight that thing again. So again, I'm just going to click in A1, hold down shift, and then I'm going to click into B8. The whole thing is highlighted now, okay? So we got to create what they said, a scatter chart with a trend line. So now we got to say, all right, cool. There's a couple different ways to access this, and I'm going to show you both. Okay, depending on how yours is, you'll see this little thing that looks like a little bit of a square with a little bit of cityscape looking in there, right? That thing is for the graphs, or what Google's going to call a chart, right? So same name, graphing or chart. So you're going to say insert chart, okay? Also, you can go to insert, and guess what? Insert the chart. Either way is going to be fine. I just wanted to show you the shortcut because this toolbar is always like the most common things, and it's for shortcuts, but then you can also always find those things in the drop down. So we're just going to click insert chart, and then it should give us a chart of some sort. Now, it said we're supposed to make a scatter chart. Right here, it's selected as a line chart. This isn't quite right, so we need to go to scatter chart. So we need to go find that. So scroll down. So you see scatter. Oh, I see scatter chart right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Scatter chart, boom. Now it's plotted the points for us, okay? Now we still are running into some problems. Everything looks pretty good, but we still got some things that we've got to do. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and just move this whole chart. So I'm just going to hold it and move it over so that it's not blocking our data table. That's like one of the most important things. You don't want it to be blocking. Okay. Number two, does all of our data fit on our graph? It does not look like it does. So you always want to look, what is the lowest data point? So if we look at, you know what, I think I'm going to have to finish recording this video a little bit later. So we can keep everything in line. We are just going to stop the video there. This is as far as we got in class. So some classes got a little bit like right here, and some classes didn't quite get this far. So I'm just going to end it right there, and then we will pick up with the next video lesson tomorrow. All right, y'all. Peace.